As the holidays approach, alcohol consumption can spike up by up to 30% each December. Joining me right now to spread some mindful moderation strategies to enjoy celebrations without regret is Dr. Frank Spinelli. Good morning, young man. How you doing today, sir?
Very good. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you for coming on. So talk to me, Doc. What are some common reasons why alcohol consumption tends to spike during the holiday season?
Well, it's just that alcohol is readily available during the holiday season. We tend to normalize it. It figures into our work schedule. There are work parties. There are definitely family events. There are social events, and it stretches for the entire month. Not only that, the normalization of alcohol means that we can drink during the week if there's a work party or a work event. We can actually even start drinking earlier. So the fact that we give ourselves permission as well as others to consume more alcohol happens more during the holiday season, and it actually starts even earlier in the day and throughout the week.
Now, that definitely sounds like a lot of drinking right there, Dr. Spinelli. Now, can you explain the potential risks of that excessive drinking during the holiday season?
Well, there's always a potential risk when we are exposed to alcohol. There's a temptation to drink. We sort of romanticize the idea of drinking with our friends and families and coworkers. But what happens is that we release a surge of dopamine, which makes us feel good. And when we're at an event, we tend to want to replenish that dopamine, which is the reward center of the brain being triggered. And that means drinking more to satiate that craving. Unfortunately, what happens over time, if you continue to drink throughout that evening, is that you will become slurred and you might become uncoordinated. You may even find yourself being very sleepy, and that can put you in danger, especially if you're thinking about driving home. And then certainly the next day, you might experience a headache from dehydration. You certainly might have some heartburn or GI discomfort. But what also happens is that you didn't really get a good night's sleep. You didn't get restorative sleep. And so that kicks in some mental health issues like feeling depressed or maybe anxious because we can't remember the events of the night before. They seem fragmented because also what happens with too much alcohol is that we develop brain fog. And then here's where the myth comes in of having a bit of the hair of the dog that bit you, is that we consider having more alcohol to fix the problem when in fact that makes things worse. And then if we continue on this cycle, because there are more parties, there are more events, there's more socializing, we can develop withdrawal, we can develop tolerance, and we can certainly develop dependence. And then this cycle can become addiction if we are not careful.
Yes, sir. That's very well said right there, Dr. Spinelli. Now, you talked about the good that comes with drinking. I want to touch for a second about the people that use it to cope with the stress of losing someone in this time of season. Can you talk about some tips for managing that holiday stress that might lead to otherwise increased alcohol intake?
You know, you bring up a really good point. It's not about only being invited to all these parties and all these events and being included. Some people don't have that support system. Some people don't have family and friends that they can commune with during the holiday season, and that can make people feel very lonely. And sometimes when people feel lonely, they use alcohol, as you say, as a crutch to get through the holidays. And that is very unfortunate because there are many people who binge drink or secret drink alone at home during the holidays. And the best way to do this is to really reach out to people that you know, reach out to community like the Reframe community, and lean upon people that are like-minded people like you who could give you support, particularly if you're feeling isolated during the holiday season.
Nice. Thank you for that information. I got one more question before I get out of your hair, Dr. Spinelli, but it's a two-pronged question for you. How can individuals set realistic alcoholic consumption limits without feeling deprived? And what are some of those different alternative methods they can use that you were speaking on earlier?
Well, the idea behind the app called Reframe is that we want to inform people about alcohol, and we use neuroscience evidence-based approaches to make you well informed so you can make informed decisions, whether you're deciding to be alcohol-free or mindfully moderating. We really let the choice be yours, and we really support you on those decisions. I think it's been well documented throughout time that the World Health Organization has recently come out and said that old myth that 1 to 2 drinks a day was actually good for you is now been dispelled. The J-curve myth is clearly shown to have been biased, and the World Health Organization says, listen, 0 alcohol is really the recommendation because we know 1, it is carcinogenic. 2, it has adverse effects on your cardiovascular system. That said, my Italian mother has a very small glass of red wine every night. So it really is not a one-size-fits-all approach. It's really looking at the individual. So if you want to cut back and if you want to eliminate alcohol completely, an app like Reframe is really helpful because it would really give you the tools to better understand the impact alcohol is having on you. And that way you can make a choice about how you would like to re-navigate your relationship with alcohol in the future.
Well, speaking of the future, at our Christmas party here, we're serving juice and cranberry juice for the morning show. Dr. Spinelli, I want to thank you so much for taking some time out of your day and highlighting this important cause to the Ark-La-Mist region. Your time is greatly appreciated.
Thank you for having me, and Happy New Year.
Of course, of course.